Starting with updates from the Israel-Hamas war, Israel's military has deployed more ground forces and military equipment at the Gaza border. This is in preparation for a looming ground offensive in the region to target Hamas terrorists and their infrastructure. The Israeli military chief told soldiers near the border that they would be entering Gaza to root out Hamas. He said that Israel will target, quote-unquote, every place, every commander, every operator. Yesterday, the Israeli military said that it would allow more residents to evacuate northern Gaza. This comes as the troops get ready for a ground assault on the Hamas-controlled Gaza Strip. Last week, Israeli infantry made their first raids into Gaza. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says the campaign of retaliation has only just begun. So far, thousands of Palestinians have fled the northern part of the Gaza Strip. Israel had demanded that the residents evacuate the area. Last week, Israel flew out pamphlets informing residents in the region of the evacuation order. The Israeli military says it has conducted strikes in Lebanon. The army has distributed a new video. It's said to show attacks on Hezbollah sites in southern Lebanon. This is in retaliation for Hezbollah's attacks on Israeli army posts and a northern border village. Hezbollah's attack killed one person and wounded 3 others. Meanwhile, the Israel Defense Force, or IDF, released more footage over the weekend. The video shows facilities being struck by fighter jets. Israel says these facilities belong to Hamas terrorists. In a statement, the IDF said that the head of the Hamas aerial system was killed during the wide-scale strikes. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu convened Israel's emergency cabinet for the first time on Sunday. The meeting was held at the military headquarters in Tel Aviv. It began with ministers standing for a moment's silence in the memory of the 1,300 lives lost in the Hamas attack on October 7th. Netanyahu then welcomed former opposition lawmaker Benny Gantz, who joined the unity government last week. Netanyahu said ministers were, quote-unquote, working around the clock with a united front. Meanwhile, Netanyahu met with the families of Israelis that have been taken hostage or had been killed during the Hamas attack. The family members were seen holding the posters of their loved ones. They have called on Netanyahu to ensure the release of those taken hostage. Israeli Finance Minister Bezalel Smotrich has said that the Israeli government is responsible for the devastating Hamas attack. He said this during a news conference. Smotrich said, and I quote, "We, the state leadership and the security establishment, have failed in maintaining the security of our citizens." Israel's energy minister has said that water supplies to parts of southern Gaza have been restored. This decision was reached between Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and US President Joe Biden. Meanwhile, Palestinians say that Israel's announcement of restoring the water supply is merely a publicity stunt. This is because several water pipes have been damaged due to Israeli shelling. Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh met with Iran's foreign minister in Qatar over the weekend. They discussed the Hamas attack in Israel. They also agreed to continue cooperation to achieve Hamas's goals. During the meeting, the Iranian foreign minister praised Hamas's attack on Israel as a, quote-unquote, historic victory. American lawmaker Chuck Schumer has said that the U.S. will push through a military aid package for Israel. This is to help the country in its war against Hamas. Schumer said this while on a visit to Tel Aviv on Sunday. Meanwhile, U.S. President Joe Biden said that he has spoken to the Palestinian Authority's President Mahmoud Abbas. The talks were about humanitarian assistance for Gaza. Biden says he told Abbas that he was working with partners in the region to ensure humanitarian supplies reach civilians in the Gaza Strip. Meanwhile, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said that more than 200 Ukrainians, mostly women and children, have been evacuated from Israel and taken to Romania. Zelensky said at least 260 Ukrainians were still in the Gaza Strip and that Kyiv is working with its partners to evacuate these citizens. Earlier, Ukraine had evacuated 207 of its citizens, including 63 children from Tel Aviv. The death toll of French citizens from the Hamas attack in Israel has risen to 19, while 13 remain unaccounted for. French Foreign Minister Catherine Colonna said those unaccounted for may have been taken hostage by Hamas. France said it is doing everything to bring their citizens back home. The French Foreign Minister also added that everything must be done to avoid a regional escalation. Police broke up a rally in Berlin after pro-Palestinian protesters took over a vigil. The vigil had previously been authorized. It was being held for the victims of the Israel-Hamas war. According to the Berlin police, around 50 people were registered to attend the vigil. However, hundreds of pro-Palestinian demonstrators arrived at the square and turned the vigil into a rally. A man in the U.S. state of Illinois has been charged with hate crime. This is for stabbing a 6-year-old Palestinian-American boy to death and severely wounding his mother. The boy was stabbed 26 times with a military-style knife. Meanwhile, his mother sustained multiple stab wounds but is expected to survive the attack. The accused allegedly targeted them because of their faith and as a response to the Israel-Hamas war. In other political news, an earthquake of magnitude 6.5 struck western Afghanistan's Herat on Sunday, killing at least 1 and injuring at least 35. The country's western region has been hit by 3 earthquakes in a week. They have left at least 1,000 dead, 2,000 injured, and dozens of villages destroyed. The United Nations Children Agency, UNICEF, said that more than 90% of those who died in the earlier earthquakes were women and children. The battle in eastern Ukraine's Donetsk is intensifying. One woman was severely injured after shelling in the Russian-controlled city of Donetsk. According to reports, the woman was in a critical condition with shrapnel wounds. The Russia-installed official in the eastern Ukraine region said Kyiv's forces also used cluster munitions and fired at least 127 rounds of ammunition at peaceful cities. Paris's iconic museum, the Louvre, was evacuated and closed after receiving a bomb alert. The French Interior Ministry said that checks were taking place to establish there was no danger. The Palace of Versailles, just outside the French capital, was also evacuated after a bomb alert. According to the President's office, Emmanuel Macron has ordered up to 7,000 soldiers to be mobilized for increased security patrols. This is a day after a teacher was stabbed to death at a school in the city of Arras in northern France. Now moving on to the ICC Men's Cricket World Cup. In what's being seen as the biggest upset of the World Cup 2023 so far, Afghanistan beat defending champions England by 69 runs. Afghanistan came into the match having lost 16 of their last 17 World Cup games, their only victory coming against Scotland in 2015. Even with 284 on the board, the second highest World Cup tally, the consensus was Afghanistan had made an under-par score. However, in a stunning turn of events, Afghanistan successfully chipped away at England's acclaimed batting lineup to come out on top. The Afghan team got off to a flying start with a 144-run opening stand between Ramanullah Gurbaz and Ibrahim Zadran. Leg spinner Adil Rashid, who took 3 for 42, dismissed Zadran and had Rahmat Shah stumped in his next over. Meanwhile, Gurbaz got his half-century up rapidly and was inching towards a World Cup ton. He smashed 8 fours and 4 sixes but was eventually run out by David Willey at mid-wicket. Gurbaz walked back to the pavilion with 80 of 57 balls. Afghanistan's Ikram Alikhil and Rashid Khan then steadied the ship with a 43-run stand, but Rashid Khan was later dismissed by England's Adil Rashid. Joe Root, who took 4 catches in the game, timed his dive to perfection to take a stunning catch and send Rashid Khan back to the pavilion. While the Afghanistan team scripted history, a lot of the credit goes to the spin trio of Rashid Khan, Mujibur Rahman and Mohammad Nabi. The trio shared 8 wickets between them to roll England over for 215 in 40.3 overs at the Arun Jaitley Stadium in New Delhi. The electric win has pushed Afghanistan up to 5th place on the points table. England lost early wickets as Afghanistan's Fazal Haq Farooqi and Mujibur Rahman made inroads. Farooqi trapped Johnny Bairstow and received a favourable decision on an LBW call. Meanwhile, Mujib dismissed Joe Root with a leg break delivery that kept low and crashed into the stumps. Bairstow was dismissed for 2 and Root for 11. David Mallon and Harry Brook added 25 for the 3rd wicket, but then Mallon played a straight drive into the hands of Ibrahim Zadran for a simple catch and fell for 32 to Mohammad Nabi. England lost quick wickets thereafter. Skipper Jos Buttler was bowled by a peach of a delivery with a deadly length by Naveen-ul Haq, which left England reeling at 91 for 4. Thereon, Nabi removed Sam Curran, while Rashid sent Liam Livingstone packing. Chris Wokes and Harry Brook tried to build a partnership and added 22 before Mujib dismissed them both in quick succession. Brook was the lone warrior for England who stood out with a solid 66 of 61 balls, but he did not find support at the other end. Rashid then dismissed Adil Rashid and Mark Wood at the England batting lineup crumbled. Jos Buttler said that England must let this defeat hurt after the faltering World Cup campaign hit another setback. In a post-match briefing, Buttler added that the wicket did not play exactly how they thought it would. He said that maybe the dew did not come in as much as they thought. Buttler said England did not manage to get the partnerships going the way they wanted with Afghanistan's spinners at play. Australia and Sri Lanka are fighting to avoid standing at 3-0 at the ICC Cricket World Cup 2023. Both sides are aiming to retain realistic semi-final hopes as they face off in Lucknow. It's been a tough start for both sides, but 2 points in this fixture will revive belief that they can still challenge for the top 4. Australia lost their opener to India and their second match to South Africa. Sri Lanka managed to put more than 300 on the board against both South Africa and Pakistan, but they conceded runs at an even higher rate. To add to their problems, their skipper Dasun Shanaka is out of the tournament due to an injury. Team India will take on Bangladesh in their 4th match of the ICC Men's Cricket World Cup 2023. They will face off at the Maharashtra Cricket Association Stadium in Pune on October 19th. India's playing 11 for the game could see Jasprit Bumrah being rested, making way for Mohammad Shami. There are also calls to include Ravichandran Ashwin in the playing 11. The Indian cricket team has been on a roll with wins in the first 3 matches against Australia, Afghanistan and Pakistan. The win against Pakistan over the weekend has given the Indian team great momentum ahead of their match against Bangladesh.